So human rights issues come up often in the workplace. Often the issue is, not necessarily that a company is on purpose being discriminatory, but that an individual within the company, so a supervisor, so a manager, is letting their biases leak through. In Ontario, there is an Ontario Human Rights Code that protects persons from being discriminated against based on a broad range of factors, so origin, uh, gender identity, race, their sexual orientation, large numbers of factors. And one that affects many people specifically is disability. So disability isn't what you'd think of when someone thinks of themselves as being disabled or having a disability, but it's a broad range. It can affect sickness because it's also perceived disability. It can detect addiction. So someone who is an alcoholic, for instance, they might get protection under the Act, certainly would get protection under the Act, or even people who have addictions to drugs, even if they're considered illegal. So human rights has a broad range of protection, and employers need to know what needs to be dealt with, and employees need to be able to know what an employer can't do. Well, if you're being discriminated against at work, it can take many forms. But generally, your two options would be to proceed through the courts or through the Human Rights Tribunal of Ontario. Now, in terms of making that choice, that's where it's important to consult with an employment lawyer because both those systems have advantages and disadvantages. So it's important to know what your overall choice is, but you can have your rights enforced. You can be able to go after those responsible for human rights violations, either through the courts or through the tribunal. Making that choice is a determination that people have to choose. Discrimination isn't allowed in Ontario. In terms of the punishment for it, the employer is punished by having to pay damages for loss of dignity, self-respect, injury to the person that the discrimination happens to. Often discrimination is tied in with someone who's being wrongfully dismissed at the same time. So someone is chosen rather than another person because of a discriminatory factor, perhaps disability, perhaps age. In terms of that, then that person would then be able to start up a lawsuit regarding the discrimination. They'd both be able to get the remedy for the termination and also an amount for the discrimination. Usual discrimination claims are between $15,000 and $25,000 if a court or a tribunal finds that discrimination occurred.